Whether you're trying to capture a city-state, a barb camp, or an enemy structure, you don't get around the tedious process of taking down endurance. But how is endurance damage calculated? And are there any faster ways to reduce it? The straightforward way of dealing endurance damage is, after you take down all guards and defenders, you simply attack the structure with an army and wait 5 minutes. This action does not cost AP and repeats itself automatically, until the structure is captured. Every 5 minutes, your army will do endurance damage in the exact amount of its siege value. You can see the value here. More on how to increase it later on. The second way to deal endurance damage is with siege units. These are siege units. If you equip them to an army's captain, you can deploy them and shoot at any target within 5 tiles. You can either deploy them by clicking on a tile and then on strategic, or you can march them to the tile and then click on this little icon. The endurance damage of siege units is influenced by the army's siege value and troop size. You can increase the troop size of an army by leveling the Basilikoi Paedes and by leveling up the heroes themselves. A siege unit can store up to 3 shots. You can shoot all of these at once, but then have to wait 10 minutes for the siege unit to refill 1 shot. Every time you shoot, it costs 15 AP. The third way to deal endurance damage is with flying units. You can use flying units, such as bombers, to airstrike targets that are up to 10 tiles away from their city or airport. Simply click on a tile and then on airstrike. This radius can be increased even further by using unique units such as Flying Fortress or with the special purple skill drop tanks. Every airstrike costs 15 AP. Similar to siege units, the endurance damage of airstrikes scales with the army's siege value and troop size. But be careful, all heroes in the army must have flying units. Any hero with ground units does not fight with the army and thus does not count towards the combined siege value. So now, how can you influence the siege value of a hero? The siege stat of any hero can be calculated with the following formula: base siege stat plus unit siege growth times hero level. While the base siege stat of purple heroes lies between 1 and 19, with the right unit and level 50 they can reach siege values of over 100. This shows that choosing the right unit and leveling up your hero are the most important factors if you want your hero to deal more endurance damage. So, what heroes should you choose for your endurance damage armies? First of all, you should not waste any golden heroes on endurance damage armies. On the EU server, we call these armies Mosquitos, and that's what they are. Weak armies that swarm the objective to suck out its endurance. You can look up the heroes with the best base siege stats on the fan-made wiki. Just search for base stats and sort by SGE. Now to the more important part. Which units should you choose for your endurance damage armies? Beforehand, a disclaimer. I will only talk about Season 1 units in this video. The essence of the information can be adjusted and applied to Season 2 units. For ground armies without siege units, it is pretty simple. Use the latest era basic unit. With a few exceptions, all units of an era have the same siege growth value. For industrial era units, it's 1.25. That's plus 62 siege if your hero is level 50. Exceptions to this rule are the worker and the varu, the elephant. Both have a siege growth value of 1.6 and should be preferably used for mosquitoes and siege unit armies. Another exception are siege units themselves. They all have high siege growth values and can be used in the center or vanguard position for that reason. Regarding siege unit armies, you can build up to 3 of these, 1 for each siege unit. Archimedes should be the captain of your strongest siege unit army. As I already described before, the best units to use for the center and vanguard positions are other siege units, worker, varu, or basic units of the latest era. Now to flying armies. As I already mentioned, all units in these armies have to be flying units. The only flying units that have decent siege growth values are the Flying Fortress, the Bomber, and the Bombardment Balloon. With these, you can build up to 3 flying endurance damage armies. the flying fortress should always be equipped to the captains. Now you might ask yourself, how do I level up my Mosquitos? The answer is simple: drilling. You can also slowly level them up with these hero XP scrolls, but that alone would take ages. I always have one level 4, one level 5 and one level 6 tile to drill my Mosquitos. Which tile an army can drill is highly dependent on its heroes and skills. Just drill the tile that you can win consistently without drawing or losing too much militia. Flying units cannot drill though. What you can do is switching them to basic ground units and drilling them most of the time. You can also use them as Mosquito ground armies for low level sieges, and then, when there's a siege that is worth building in an airport, simply switch them back to planes. Only remember to save up AP in time. By the way, in order to increase the power of Mosquitos for drills, you should smack whatever leftover skills that you have on them. But don't waste skill XP on these skills until these skills on your main armies are all at level 10. Some people use another trick: drill armies. These are armies that can consistently drill higher level tiles. Once per week, you swap their levels over to your flying armies. So, now you know how to build endurance damage units and how to increase their siege damage. Next, here are a few tips and tricks regarding this topic. First, if you want to take the endurance of a target, it has to be in vision. In case you cannot seem to be able to shoot or airstrike a target that should be in range, simply sending another army to stand close to the target should solve this problem. 2. Do not bombard or airstrike a city-state if it still has guards alive. Your endurance damage will be reduced by 90% if you don't take down the guards first. 3. Siege unit armies can also be used as normal ground armies. A popular strategy is to shoot your 3 shots first, and then to stall them and let them attack the target. 4. There are 2 special purpose skills for flying armies and 1 for siege unit armies. Use these on the captains of your best endurance damage Mosquitos. 5. Tired of clicking on airstrike every few seconds? Simply click here before starting the airstrike, and the plane will fly rounds until its AP runs out. 6. If your cities are close enough to the target city-state, you can use all your Mosquitos as flying fortresses if you want. Keep them at home. Only send 1 flying army equipped with your best planes to the siege. Then, after the AP of your first flying army runs out, send it back to its city and swap the flying fortresses to the next Mosquito. Repeat this process for all your Mosquitos, and you will surely be on top of the siege ranks. This trick only works if your city is really close to the target and if your alliance doesn't take down the endurance fast. I should come to an end now. One last disclaimer. The information on flying armies in this video mainly apply to PvE scenarios. In PvP, there can be air defense systems, such as fighters and anti-air guns, which require different strategies to play around. But going into that would be too much for this video. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments.